Я работаю в криптовалюте.
Hi, I'm Satoshi Nakamoto. Welcome to my news channel about cryptocurrency, where the most relevant news and promising projects will be covered.
BTC power law theory. Does it work, and why is $1 million BTC promised? Bitcoin grows like a living organism, not like a stock. Its price follows power laws, just like the growth of cities, technologies, or trees. Astrophysicist Giovanni Santostasi has uncovered the law governing Bitcoin's price path to $1 million, and his 7-year-old publication appears frighteningly accurate. You'll find a fascinating insight into the fundamentals of BTC's physics, with a calculator at the end for self-calculation. According to Bitcoin power law theory, PLT, BTC's price and metrics don't follow classical financial models, but obey universal power laws, similar to natural phenomena, the growth of cities, technologies, trees, and animals. In other words, BTC is considered an organism because its growth drivers are hard-coded into its code. And this makes its behavior and price significantly more predictable than it seems. The graph of BTC's price growth since its inception is shown. The price is shown in black and the power law is shown in red. The R-squared coefficient of 0.92101 indicates that the model explains approximately 92% of the data variability. This is a good result. This theory was developed by Giovanni Santostasi, who holds a PhD in astrophysics. He worked as a neuroscientist at Northwestern University, studying consciousness, intelligence, memory, and the role of sleep. Moreover, the theory does not contradict the rises and falls of BTC's price due to manipulation. Santostasi insists that this is the only complete scientific theory of Bitcoin, mathematically confirming its stability. Let's consider whether this is true. How does BTC power law theory work? A power law is a mathematical model of the form y equals ax and in, which describes phenomena where the output becomes the input for the next cycle. This can be clearly seen by plotting the Bitcoin price in logarithmic coordinates. It forms a straight line. This is astonishing because no other asset follows a power law with such precision. Such laws are found not in finance but in nature. For example, the spread of a virus. In the early stages, infected people infect new ones, and the process grows not linearly but exponentially until external factors, vaccines, isolation, etc., intervene. In this respect, Bitcoin is similar to the spread of a virus. Current network power affects future network power. Current users bring new ones. Network growth is a cyclical process, not simply accumulation. Genesis block, January 3, 2009. Selected date, February 25, 2026. Formula, P equals 10 minus 17 times days, 5.83. The calculator calculates the fair price based on the cost of mining 1 Bitcoin and the power law formula. Below, we'll explore the origins of this formula. Now, let's look at all 7 points of the theory to see if it works or if it can be refuted. Point 1 of the theory: interest. Satoshi created Bitcoin, and people started mining it on their laptops, while others invested in it out of curiosity. Over time, interest grew, and people began to participate more seriously in discussions and trading. The theory's estimated validity is shown until 2040. Point 2. Price and users. Point 2 states that the price of Bitcoin and the overall value of the network itself began to increase proportionally to the square of the number of users. This empirical observation is based on the power law between the price and the number of addresses, which serve as a rough indicator of the number of network users, and it confirms the theoretical result known as Metcalfe's law. Red line. As the number of users, active addresses, increases, so does the price. Satoshi likely didn't intend power laws when creating Bitcoin, but he certainly created ingenious mechanisms to ensure system stability through mining and difficulty adjustments. Mining and difficulty adjustment mechanism. The system is balanced. Difficulty adjustment automatically adjusts mining difficulty so that 2016 blocks are mined in approximately 2 weeks, 10 minutes per block. If blocks are found faster due to increased network power, the difficulty increases. If it's slower, the difficulty decreases. Power laws arise here from feedback loops. The price rises, attracting miners, the hash rate increases quadratically, and the mechanism balances everything. 3. Resource influx. Bitcoin's rising price, driven by its growing user base, attracted more resources, specifically mining power and capabilities. People are creating increasingly sophisticated and larger mining rigs, competing for their share of the coins. 4. Compensation mechanism. Some analyses of this theory also consider the dependence of other quantities, such as hash rate or network value. According to the model, these metrics exhibit a quadratic dependence on price, the p-squared index. Simply put, if the price doubles, the corresponding metric, for example network hash rate, increases by approximately 4 times. The yellow line is the price, the orange line is the mining difficulty, and the blue line is the network hash rate. This simplified calculation and rationale are supported by the empirical observation of a power law, where p-squared is proportional to hash rate in Bitcoin data. 5. Increased security. The increase in the hash rate has increased the security of the system, attracting more users worldwide. Some might argue that most people buy Bitcoin not because of security, but indirectly this is true, because if the system weren't secure, they wouldn't invest so much money in it. Therefore, the security of the system has directly or indirectly attracted more users. 6. Increased technology adoption. The number of Bitcoin users grows proportionally to the cube of time. This is a new finding of this theory. Most Bitcoin adoption models invoke S-shaped curves, typical of the adoption of many technologies such as televisions, refrigerators, cars, and cell phones. However, Bitcoin doesn't follow an inherently exponential S-curve. Instead, it follows a time-cube power law. It turns out that many phenomena that have an underlying S-curve adoption mechanism actually become power laws if some moderating mechanism is present. In the case of Bitcoin, this mechanism is both difficulty adjustment and the risk inherent in any investment. So empirically, Bitcoin adoption growth can be observed to follow a time-cubed power law. 7. The interrelationship of the 7 laws. The 7th and final point of the theory asserts that Bitcoin's power law growth, combined with its other power laws, addresses, price, and network hash rate, are interconnected into a single cause and effect relationship. Establishing this cause and effect relationship allows us to assert that the PLT is a full-fledged theory, not a model. On the other hand, a theory is not yet a law, but merely a theory. It's time to look for its flaws. Model predictions. According to PLT, Bitcoin could reach $1 million by around 2033. This is also supported by a calculation showing that Bitcoin will increase in value 10.63-fold in 8 years, i.e. by the time it turns 24. This corresponds to approximately $1 million. Santostasi also claims that only a small fraction of humanity would be enough to push Bitcoin's price to $10 million. $13 million by 2045. Prediction. While this isn't Santostasi's direct prediction, he mentions that the average scenario presented at the conference predicted $13 million by 2045. Santostasi's own calculation for 2045 puts the price at around $4.5 million. Forecast for the end of 2026, cycle bottom. After the peak in 2025, a correction is expected to last about a year, with the price returning to a support line at around $65,000 by the end of 2026. Read the history of Bitcoin cycles and 4-year growth charts. What about bubbles? Bubbles are deviations in the price chart from the average trend, which resembles a straight line following a power law. The theory explains their behavior through self-correcting mechanisms that distinguish Bitcoin from purely speculative assets. Bitcoin has anti-bubble mechanisms. The price always returns to its fair value line, regardless of growth cycles or crashes. A crash occurs when the price rises too quickly relative to the hash rate, as the mining infrastructure cannot be scaled instantly and the system self-corrects. Bubbles arise from a fear of missing out, not fundamental acceptance. The address growth model barely reproduces them. Bubbles form regular 4-year cycles, a year of growth to a peak, a year of correction to a support line, and 2 years of consolidation around it. The exponential rise is offset by a decline, and fluctuations around the fair value almost cancel each other out. Historical verification of the theory's calculations. Calculations show that the formula predicts the price very accurately. For example, when 6,009 days were input, the formula returned $17,250, which was almost exactly the market price. When calculating how long it took Bitcoin to reach $1, the formula predicted 880 days, while in reality it took 915 days. This is a discrepancy of only a few weeks. How to calculate Bitcoin's growth yourself. Santostasi offers a simple formula for calculating Bitcoin's fair value based on its age. 3 steps for calculation. Determine time, days. Calculate the days since January 3, 2009. Power law formula. P equals 10 minus 17 times days. 5.83. P equals 10 minus 17 times days. 5.83. 10 minus 17. 10 minus 17 for a price of 0 on the first day. The power of 5.83 reflects non-linearity. Calculation. Substitute the days into the formula, calculator or browser. The result is the fair price according to PLT. Calculating the future price can be done by simply extrapolating the current growth. For example, doubling Bitcoin's age from 16 to 24 years should result in a price increase of approximately 10.63 times. This essentially corresponds to the $1 million forecast. Dr. Santostasi compares the BTC phenomenon to physics. From a power law perspective, time slows down for Bitcoin as it grows. This means that Bitcoin doesn't need to radically change its behavior to reach higher orders of magnitude. It simply continues to do what it has been doing since its inception. Historical facts about growth. Bitcoin is the fastest growing asset in human history. In 15 years, it has grown approximately 100 million-fold since its first transactions. Bitcoin's growth surpasses that of any other asset, including Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia, and they aren't even in the same order of magnitude. The theory includes a strong support line that Bitcoin's price almost never crosses. This support line is a physical limit determined by the cost of mining. According to a CoinShares report, the average cost of mining one Bitcoin is approximately $55,950, and after accounting for non-cash expenses, depreciation, employees, it reaches approximately $106,000. Mining remains profitable at a Bitcoin price of $100,000. Conclusions. This is a theory, not investment advice or a prophecy. The Bitcoin power law is one of the most streamlined and elegant models explaining why BTC grows unlike stocks, why bubbles recur, why the price can be predicted, and why all of this is not random but systematic. Go for it.
Like and subscribe to the Crypto Plus channel. Modern technologies have radically changed our society, where cryptocurrency has long been the means of payment. The concentration of capital and the growth of cryptocurrency turnover around the world is already today, where scattered small banks are being replaced by cryptocurrency cross-border payments. One of the most important modern decentralized tokens is Soviet gold chervonets, SOVAUCHER, built into the system of cryptocurrency exchanges and allowing financial transactions, which is the most suitable in the system of gaining your freedom and independence. You are on the right path, comrades.